Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the charts for some brief technical analysis on Bitcoin. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, links in the description down below. Fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not go ahead and check it out today. Okay guys, let's get into this in a little bit more detail, right? So here we are with Bitcoin paired up with USDT. We're on the hourly chart and Binance is our data source. Okay, now there's a few things I want to kind of talk about in this video. Obviously this recent bounce up, it shouldn't be anything so it's anything that we weren't kind of expecting to happen here, and this is all pretty much business as usual and all that kind of good stuff. So the way that I'm looking at this is that this was actually a C wave move down, right? So we actually have an A, B, C, and that actually kind of comes in just a little bit short of the 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, and then we started to move up. Now this move up here, this bounce that we started to see yesterday, I don't know, a lot of people were probably expecting us to go down massively once we saw the close below the 20 EMA, but again, you know, these things aren't instantaneous or anything like that. You saw the brief reaction to the market just over this side. Okay, so basically a second that we had the close, there was a little bit of panic, but actually you bounced right back from it. And had you sold there, then well, yeah, that's on you. Not necessarily understanding how the markets work, but nonetheless, we do have this A, B, C structure just here. Okay, it's a little bit over extending on the 1-to-1 ratio, and I am expecting a reversal back down. I'm still expecting us to come down to the lower ranges, anywhere between $36,000 and $37,000. Okay, specifically there's this little yellow box in here. Okay, this actually comes in at about 36,600, and the higher bound is about 37,200. Okay, so that's actually the spot that I'm thinking we are trying to aim towards, right? And looking at this bounce here, I think we're probably in some kind of corrective pattern that could play out a little bit deeper. Now what I'm thinking, if I remove this one, and what I will do is I'll remove this one here as well. Okay, if we grab hold of this low and we grab hold of this high, and we go ahead and put this on top of this recent high point just here, we can see that actually this comes right down to 36,600. Okay, and that would basically make this entire C wave an overextended C wave. Let me grab hold of that and just put it all the way down here. Okay, what you'd end up with is a giant A coming down here, this being a B wave bounce, and then we pull down into that lower range of 36,600. Okay, that would then complete the move, and if we were to mark up the subwaves here, you'd also have A, L, B, and C, just like so, and we would also expect there to be some kind of A, B, and C coming down. Now, I don't expect this to happen until next week, after the bank holiday weekend and all of that kind of good stuff, but you know, I could be wrong on that. We might see it sooner rather than later, but essentially that's kind of what I'm thinking here, is that we're still looking to pull back down. Once we actually complete this whole corrective pattern, including this larger A, B, C structure, the minor A, B, C subwave of our C wave, and of course the A, B, C of our C wave, okay, so there's three things going on here. Okay, you can see three C waves all kind of coming down and confirming 36,000. It's actually 36,200. Sorry, it's my bad. $36,200. Okay, so that's the range that we're thinking about. Now we might overextend, we might be a little bit short, but we're going to be right in that sweet spot, in my opinion. I'll pull this over here so you can kind of see exactly what we're talking about. Okay, now I do not expect us to go down lower right now than 35,600, for example, but we also should be aware that there is a low C wave target here of $34,000, and that's on a much bigger scale. Okay, bigger scale, but nonetheless what we're looking at are a bunch of choppy corrective moves. Okay, I would expect that we basically pull down in the way that we have, we move on up, and then we pull back down again. Okay, so when we start thinking about $36,000 getting hit here, all of that bounce up, and then another pullback down, finishing the $34,000. Now, I don't know where that's likely to go. I would estimate personally 40-ish maybe on that next bounce up after 36. So maybe you go from $36,000 up to about $40,000, and then down to $34,000. And then you end up with a basically a big ABC structure inside here. Inside this C wave low, in the same way that we kind of see a lot of bouncing around, right? We pull back down, we bounce back up, we pull down, we bounce up, we pull down, we bounce up, we pull down, right? And the same thing here, we've pulled down, we bounced up, we pulled down, we bounced up, we've pulled down, we're bouncing up right now, we'll pull down, we'll bounce up, and we'll pull back down. Okay, so essentially we don't move in straight lines. The markets bounce around a lot. I'm still expecting us to go down towards $34,000, although I would like to also point out that this C wave can be short of the 1-to-1 ratio, and it could just be a $36,000 short C wave. So we want to be reviewing what the data is looking like once we actually start to reverse and have a bounce up, right? I'm still expecting $34,000. I think that's the most probable outcome here. But we should also be aware that we could just reverse and go up, right? At the same time, we could crash down past $34,000, right? But I do think 34 is the most probable outcome here. Okay, so there's different kind of ways of looking at this, and I'm looking at it as in what is the most probable scenario out of a list of possible scenarios. Okay, so I'm tracking this Elliott wave theory based on the sentiment and based on the emotions of investors in the space and how they react to Fibonacci-based numbers. So what we're really checking out here is a move probably to the downside towards our 36,200, but they do expect to bounce in the middle of that, come down, reverse up, maybe hit 40, then move down to 34. Now, obviously, all of that stuff is fantastic. We take a look at the stochastic RSI. We can, of course, see that we're moving down. It should move down on that 1 hour. On the 4 hourly, we're also overbought. On the 8 hourly, we're almost overbought. On the daily, we're actually progressing quite down nicely. This is actually going to put us in a really sweet spot if we hit the 36K. The weeklies actually also progress quite nicely, almost into the oversold area. So again, once we're down here, probably by the end of the week, we might actually start to see this thing start to maybe move up a little bit or just stay down here for a little bit longer. I'm okay with kind of just trading sideways for a bit as well, to make sure that we can line things up nicely. We're oversold on our monthly chart. We spoke about that on yesterday's videos as well. So ultimately for BTC, we're actually tracking pretty well. So right now we want to be aware that we are more than likely going to pull down, but there's also the possibility that we just continue to push up just a fraction more, and that's also perfectly fine. Okay, we should not look to go up higher than the originating move. Okay, so if I grab hold of a horizontal ray here, invalidation for those lows would come in at 40,372, at least within these particular wave counts. So we'd have to look at different things. It would still mean that we would potentially still have 2 of these C wave lows still valid. We'd only invalidate 1 of them. So essentially we've got 3 confirmations of 36,200, subwave of a subwave of a subwave, funny enough, right? So we actually have basically a series of C-wave moves all kind of nested inside each other, moving down towards $36,000. So that's definitely how we kind of get to that confirmation point. But if we were to move up higher than $40,372, then essentially this last one at the end here, this C-wave low at 36,200 would be invalidated, and instead we'd have to start thinking about, in fact actually also with this one here, the 2 of these would both be invalidated. We'd have to look at alternative wave counts to see what else is going on. It would still mean that we are valid for this C wave lower here, however. Okay, so we should be aware of that. But nonetheless, that's kind of what I'm looking at for Bitcoin here at the moment. Now, what we'll do is I'll just bring up Bitcoin dominance as well. I'm not going to talk about kind of the history too much on this, but I just want to kind of highlight what's going on right now. Let me just bring this up. You can see the Bitcoin dominance is running quite hard. Now, this is basically increasing. It's increased from 40 to 42%. And this is because basically the altcoins are bleeding out quite hard, right? When there's massive reactions in the market, or movements of like Bitcoin or fear, altcoins will bleed out much heavier. This is something I was talking about a few weeks ago, where I was expecting altcoins to bleed out by 50%, and Bitcoin to bleed out by about 20%, right? So essentially a lot more money is coming out of the altcoins, being parked up, a lot of fear, and people thinking bear market scenarios and all that kind of stuff. But none of this is actually anything to really worry about from my perspective. Okay, so my view on this is quite simple. It's been something that we've been tracking for the last few months, and if you've been following the channel, you'll notice that actually everything is still very much exactly as we've been talking about, right? We've closed below a 20 EMA, but that means very little to me personally. I don't really track EMAs because they're just averages of prices, and it's actually more about people's reaction to those EMA lines than the actual average price itself. So for me, I don't really tend to look at them too much. Now, what we have been tracking is very much still valid. It hasn't changed. We're still talking about $34,000. We are not talking about moving down to $25,000, for example. But although that is a possible move, I don't think it's very probable. And again, we've been through all the Glassnode data to kind of talk about everything that's going on with Bitcoin. With the massive amount of accumulation that's going on for BTC, the amount of whales that are stacking up more than 1,000 BTC now, and as I always say, right, we do as they do and not as they say. And here we have Bitcoin dominance increasing as the altcoins are just bleeding out more. So Bitcoin is dropping in price, but it's not dropping down at the same rate as those altcoins. And as a result of that, you're seeing Bitcoin dominance increase. Now, why is this important? Well, this is important because this is exactly what we want to see as we start to think about Bitcoin actually going up towards its all-time high, right? So the all-time high in the last cycle for Bitcoin is this dashed line. Bitcoin dominance was all the way down here when the alts started to run, okay? So think of this as 2021. Altcoins ran, Bitcoin dominance dropped down, okay? And then Bitcoin dominance slowly increases, okay? There's a little bit of fluctuation in here, but increases right up to the point where it has its all-time high right up here. Then Bitcoin dominance drops down as the alt season starts, bringing Bitcoin dominance all the way down to 32%. Okay, so from a historic point of view, we've got exactly the right kind of setup going on. Now, we've actually been trading sideways for quite a bit, but basically what do we have? We have the alts finally running in 2021. Okay, we haven't really, I mean, you have to take some of these anomalies out of the picture. This is just bad data and bad APIs in my opinion. Bitcoin kind of ran up a little bit, but it hasn't actually been doing too much. It's just kind of been hovering around. And what we're really looking for is Bitcoin dominance to increase itself. Now, I'm not looking for a massive spike on this. I'm thinking it should kind of rest around the 55 to 60% point. I mean, this is just because there's that many more coins and tokens in the space than there were previously, right? So I'm expecting it to kind of come up a bit, but not too far. After that, though, we should expect a crash lower than 30% as the altcoin season starts, okay? So from a Bitcoin dominance point of view, this is actually a good sign. We are seeing the alts bleed out and we are seeing the dominance for BTC increase. Okay, so that's exactly what you want to see. But we have got a bit of work here to go. I want to see this up at 55 to 60%. And then I want to see a big crash on Bitcoin dominance as those altcoins absolutely rally hard. Okay, that will put us in a really strong position, overall. And I think that's really where the end of this bull run really comes in. I still think this is a bearish phase of a bullish cycle. And again, this is just because I'm looking at it from an Elliott wave perspective, but I can obviously appreciate that the significance of the drops that we've been having, and they are very, very significant, right? So it's easy to kind of call things a bear market than it is to understand the bigger macro picture. But I still see this as a bullish cycle and a bearish phase, as in we're still in this corrective phase right up here at the top. Yes, it's taken some time. Yes, these are very significant drops in value, but the structure is still a very bullish structure, and we are looking to take this up towards $79,000 to $108,000 in my opinion. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.